Greetings, welcome to week 1. This brief PowerPoint presentation will be reviewing how to respond to ethos, pathos, and logos, and also introducing the concept of a quotation sandwich, which might be a term that some of you are familiar with, have heard before in previous writing classes. This PowerPoint is meant to give you some guidance in how to write your first discussion post this week as well. So if we look at a different essay in the anthology, not the one that you are meant to respond to this week, but Brianna Norman's Can Maternity Leave Laws That Benefit Parents Also Benefit Businesses? And if we look at her first two sentences of her essay, in the United States, approximately 3.9 million babies are born yearly. Out of all those births, only 12% of their mothers have access to paid leave through their employer. From page 29. So let's say this is a quotation that you want to respond to this week. I want to introduce the idea of a quotation sandwich. Not only because it's a good way to organize your thoughts in a discussion post, but also because it's a great thing to keep in mind when you're actually quoting material in your writing, in your essays. As a rule, anytime you use a quotation, you should try to use a quotation sandwich. It's also a great way to structure paragraphs so that you're offering a clear topic sentence, using the text to support your claim, and then analyzing that quotation. So for this analogy, I like to think of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich where you have a piece of bread, peanut butter, jelly, and then another piece of bread. So the first part of the sandwich in this analogy is a full sentence of introduction. Again, if this is a new paragraph, this can actually be your topic sentence. It can be your claim, the thing that you're arguing about the text. But it also needs to sort of introduce the quotation that you're going to be using. So here's my bread, right, for this quotation. In her essay, Norman, 2016, uses logos to convince her readers that current laws for maternity leave are inadequately serving families and are even proving detrimental to businesses. So that's sort of rehashing her thesis statement, but it's also introducing the quotation I'm about to use. The peanut butter here is where you introduce the quotation within the sentence that also uses the quotation. So to give you an example, you can't just have a quotation sitting by itself. You need to say something like, at the start of her essay, Norman argues, comma, and then you open your quotes and use her quotation. So that part is kind of essential. The jelly, I'm sure you can imagine, is the quotation itself. Again, please be sure that it's cited correctly. If you have questions on how to cite things, we will be sort of going over that this semester, but please do not hesitate to ask me if you have questions. So looking at the peanut butter and jelly together, at the start of her essay, Norman argues, in the United States, approximately 3.9 babies are born yearly. Out of all those births, only 12% of their mothers have access to paid leave through their employer. Full quotation with the citation. Finally, you need one last piece of bread. At least one sentence of analysis supporting topic sentence. So this is where your paragraph sort of comes full circle. You're referring back to the first piece of bread, the first sentence that you introduced, where you made your claim clearly, but you're also going back and reading the quotation and showing us what you're trying to draw out from that quotation. So my last piece of bread would be, through contrasting the large amount of babies born each year, 3.9 million, with a relatively small percentage, 12%, to describe the number of mothers who have access to maternity leave, Norman uses logos to prove to her readers how laws for maternity leave are serving only a small portion of mothers and families in the U.S. So, again, I'm trying to emphasize those statistics, point out that her use of logos is relying on those statistics, that use of numbers, and specifically contrasting a huge number like 3.9 million with a relatively small number like 12. So if we look at the whole quotation sandwich altogether, in her essay, Norman, 2016, uses logos to convince her readers that current laws for maternity leave are inadequately serving families and are even proving detrimental to businesses. At the start of her essay, Norman argues, in the United States, approximately 3.9 million babies are born yearly. Out of all those births, only 12% of their mothers have access to paid leave through their employer. Through contrasting the large amount of babies born each year, 3.9 million, with a relatively small percentage, 12%, to describe the number of mothers who have access to maternity leave, Norman uses logos to prove to her readers how laws for maternity leave are serving only a small portion of mothers and families in the U.S. So again, I would encourage you to use this structure not only when you're writing paragraphs in your essay, but whenever you're using a text in a discussion. It's a great way to structure your discussion posts this semester, and I look forward to seeing what you have to say about this. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.